Breaking news, everyone. PVZ Replanted finally came out, and as someone who's obsessed with Plants vs Zombies for no reason at all except for nostalgia and the fact that the game is a big thing, I'm gonna talk about it. And I'm gonna rant about why it's a little buggy and a little too glitchy. Let's get right into it, guys. Whee! PVZ Replanted came out, and I finally 100% finished the game. There are some pros somehow, but unfortunately, there are definitely way more cons too. I don't think it's the first beta of PVZ 3 or modern PVZ 2 bad, but it's not amazing either. Thankfully, some of the things I discussed in my controversy aren't here anymore. I still believe some assets were upscaled. It's a little obvious in plants like the squash or torchwood even, but who knows. Unfortunately, I can't really prove it. Twin Sunflower isn't incredibly ugly anymore. I was hoping that wouldn't be the case. Anyway, onto the main light game. The intro of the game feels a little rushed, and there's no swoop in animation for the final wave warning. It just pops out like a PNG. Which is weird since the final wave title, the one that comes after the wave announcement, does. The pea shooter fires peas at a rate that's a little too fast, even without the speed up feature. In this comparison by Shy Guy Mask, you can tell that both pea shooters and fume shroom's attack is way faster than the original Game of the Year version. The lawnmowers just swoop in as well, which is a little strange. Another critique, which is not that important but it is to me, is the pea shooter's peas don't come out from its hole. It's not a big issue, but it's just a little annoying to me. The retro pea shooter sprite and animation is kinda ugly, and honestly, I had to turn it off. I really couldn't take looking at it anymore. Crab Head Zombie is silly though, that one I do actually like. The Retro Zombie is not any better either. The mustache one is a sweet addition and a nice reference, and I hope they add more skins in the future to give more of a reason to get replanted rather than any of the other versions. I just think that the retro skins stand out like a sore thumb a little too much. I would have rather used the DS sprites more than anything. The dynamic music still wasn't fixed and is still the same, which is very disappointing. I'm assuming in another patch they will fix this, though I have no idea if that'll be the case or not. I don't really like the loading screen. The original Plants vs Zombies did not have one, so it just feels odd. Same with the game having a custom cursor. Though that's just me nitpicking, and I don't particularly care too much if it's in the game or not. Trust me, that does not ruin the way I feel about the game. Co-op is pretty interesting. Player 2 can butter zombies, while player 1 can shovel zombies, which is odd. And makes the game a little too easy sometimes if you just make player 2 butter a bunch of zombies, but oh well. Other small critiques through the game. Sunshroom and many other plants isn't aligned in one position. This applies a lot. Ice Shroom is tiny compared to the other seed packets, but this turns out to be with almost every other plant as well. But it wasn't until Ice Shroom where I noticed that it is actually a common problem. Minigames are the same, so is Ven Garden, although the Ven Garden is a little bit buggy in my opinion. After level 5-5, I unlocked Cloudy Day and the Limbo Page, labeled as extra content. The 5-9 Zomboss letter is kind of strange. I don't know why they changed the font up, they could have just used a normal asset, though I'm guessing they lost it or something. The Zombies on Your Lawn video is a cutscene since the original video's aspect ratio is smaller than the widescreen. Now, I can talk about the bonus levels. They go as follow. The Walnut Art Challenge is pretty much seeing stars, but with a circle of walnuts. Pretty boring to be honest. Sunny Day is pretty much a minigame where the sun is 50 rather than 25. Pretty much Plants vs Zombies 2. Not that interesting. Unsighted, I believe, is the most interesting of the many other Limbo Page minigames. I don't think these minigames are that great, though Unsighted is kind of an exception. Unsighted only has 3 lanes of grass. The other 2 do not have any, so you can't place any plants on it. I pretty much use Gloom Shroom and Starfruit for this, as it's all you can do really. Or Cob Cannon and Cherry Bomb, but Cob Cannon takes too long to prepare, and I really did not have Cob Cannon at the moment. I love this minigame. Big Time is a little odd. Sunflower, Walnut, and Marigold are big, so they're amplified. The big sunflower is a twin sunflower pretty much, producing 2 sun at the same time. The walnut has equal defense to Tauntnut, and Marigold produces 2 coins. Like Last Stand, it's honestly a pretty good way to farm coins. I wish all the plants were amplified in some way, so the big sunflower and the walnut and the marigold aren't just kind of random. But again, this is meant to be an uncompleted minigame. In fact, all of these are. All of these were meant to be in the original game, but if you use Cheat Engine, you can find them in the Limbo Page. The Sunflower Art Challenge is pretty much the same as the Walnut, but you have to make a sunflower using the star fruits as leaves, walnuts as the face, and umbrella leaves as the stem. I don't really care for the art challenges, they're really boring in my opinion. Error rate is pretty much an overwhelming amount of balloon zombies, and the only time the cactus will ever be useful, as they come pretty early too. This is the only Limbo game that I lost lawnmowers since balloon zombies would come immediately, and I didn't have time to react or place any blowers or cacti. It's an okay minigame. I don't think it necessarily counts as one though. There's nothing entirely unique about it, apart from the fact that there's a bunch of balloon zombies in the minigame. High gravity is simple, but unique, which I like a lot. It's in the name. The gravity is so high that projectiles fired by any lobber or shooting plants will hit the ground immediately. For the breath strategy, you have to use chompers and freem shrooms as they're resistant to the high gravity. Balloon zombies are in the level, but due to the high gravity, their balloon breaks around 3 lanes in. There's really not much about grave danger. Graves appear at any time during the level, and in the first wave, zombies will emerge from some of these graves, rather than just coming out in the end. Grave Buster was super effective though, and I never really had to worry about the graves. I had none by the time the first wave came. Can You Dig It is another unique minigame. At the beginning of the minigame, the lawn is completely filled with walnuts. It's a conveyor level that only provides pea shooters. To complete this minigame, you have to dig up walnuts in order to replace them with pea shooters and deal with basic zombies. It's an okay minigame as you finish digging up the walnuts by the second wave. Dark Stormy Night is just a replay of 410, but you get pea shooter, cherry bomb, puff shroom, and cactus rather than the usual 410 plant. No ice level unfortunately, which sucks as it was shown in the preview. I guess they couldn't find a way to incorporate it though I would have liked it a lot personally. I wish I could have done more with the Limbo Page. I understand these are just meant to be extractions of the scrap minigames from the original game, so on top of the Limbo Page, they could have added some new, never before created minigames we haven't seen before, as well as new vase breaker and iZombie level. New content is what I believe is one of the things that will make this game worth it, minus the many bugs that it has. Puzzle mode is the same, so is survival except I can't see the zombies in the fog, which I assume is a glitch. My game got stuck in the loading screen after I beat survival. Turns out this is a very common thing in the game. I have no idea why. This is exactly why I don't want a loading screen. Now with the 2 modes. Cloudy Day was pretty fun, I'm not gonna lie. It's a challenge and I love challenges. Like I said in my last video, I feel like it had a lot of potential and it's a plus that I will give PVZ Replanted. Like I said, there are pros in the game. I don't want to be entirely negative after all, although it's a billionaire company, it's not like it needs any sympathy. It's very much different from adventure mode. It doesn't drop 50 sun from the sky anymore when clouds are not covering the entirety of the sky. It's now 15 sun. Sunflowers can also produce less sun than 50 now, and in some waves or intervals, the day will become fully cloudy and sunflowers will fall asleep, but plant costs will be cut in half. I tried to see if coffee bean has an actual use and I saw if it worked on the sunflowers. Then again, that'd make the mode way too easy and ruin the whole premise, so of course it doesn't work. I mostly stuck to pea shooters as you have to be pretty careful in this mode. From days 1 to 4, it's a normal day mode, with the pool mode being day 5 to 8. I was worried there'd be a night level which would be super hard, but obviously there isn't. For these levels, I limit myself when it comes to sunflowers as I need as much sun as possible for when the sunflowers can't produce sun anymore. So I have to depend on the small sun cost plants like basic pea shooters or potato mines for those temporary times. Although in the pool levels, Cattail carries me completely as it costs 150 sun in the cloudy intervals. On day 9 are the roof levels. I'm assuming there's obviously no night levels and there wasn't meant to be. Obviously, that's why there's no fog levels either. I'll admit the last challenge was actually pretty hard as they had gargantuars, catapult zombies, and ladder zombies. Some of the 3 most annoying zombies. But thankfully, I beat it. Like I said, I love harder levels, I love a challenge, and this mode is meant to be one. At least I assume so. The R.I.P mode was pretty much exactly how I said in the first video I made about Replanted. I'm gonna make a whole separate video about Replanted R.I.P mode and how my gameplay went, as this game is a review and showcase about the game in general. I love R.I.P mode. I think R.I.P mode is also a very creative thing. I think there could have been more potential to it, though that could apply to so many other things that Replanted. But I gotta say, I had myself a lot of fun compared to the other modes in this game. I like the whole aesthetic of it, the whole purple thing into it, though for some reason when I beat R.I.P mode without using lawnmowers, I didn't get the achievement. It won't unlock even though I was 100% that I beat the mode. Turns out Shy Guy Mask had the same problem, and probably other people too, which is really annoying. This happened when I unlocked the golden sunflower trophy. For some reason, when I go to the main menu, it still shows that I have the silver flower rather than the golden one. I don't understand why, but I just feel like they should have extended a little bit more days until publishing the game if stuff like this is gonna happen. I mean, data is really crucial to the game, so this is just really weird. The Almanac's archive is obviously controversial for obvious reasons. This page is not from Witch Werner at all, but I'll elaborate more on the archive in a bit. Replanted's versus mode is pretty much identical, verbatim to the Xbox's versus mode. For the same zombies like the trash can zombies to the plants. But I'm gonna be honest, the versus mode is so buggy. You have to play it with controllers, and unfortunately, there's no online multiplayer. I believe this game could thrive completely if it incorporated online multiplayer in some way. I'd say give the versus mode a shot, but you're gonna need 2 controllers. It needs some sort of patch though. Try using the PC mouse for anything in the versus mode and it's gonna bug out. The Xbox versus mode was the same way, but the zombies always have the upper hand most of the time, depending on the zombies you pick. It feels like Zombie Sun is so much easier to retrieve than Sunflower Sun, even though some plants are lower sun cost like the 3-peater. The Great Wall of China content isn't much, which is disappointing. Again, more potential. You don't really get much content with it. It's pretty much randomized skins on the zombie. What I would do is go all out and make an entire world out of the Great Wall of China content. Although the edition it's based off is also a reskin, so there's not much content to use from. So I'm thinking for the extra content, maybe they could have had an extra world, like a nighttime roof section. Think of Plants vs Zombies DOC mode, aka a Plants vs Zombies love letter you should definitely check out if you want a free, better version of Plants vs Zombies. No offense, Replanted. Well, half offense actually. Overall, I feel like the game needed a little more time. Everything feels out of place. From the pace to the lack of charm the first game had, I feel like it should have been an exact replica of the Game of the Year version with a few new modes, including the Cloudy Day, R.I.P Mode, and the Limbo Page. Scrap the Almanac archive, honestly. I do love the history of Plants vs Zombies and would love to make a future video about it someday, but it's hard to get over the fact that most of its quote-unquote concept art isn't real concept art for the game. At least I assume so. I know some of it is, but the fact that this page itself is not an actual Rich Werner concept just makes me skeptical. Especially when this game is meant to be a love letter. The people that made the first game in the first place wasn't even involved in this game, which is really weird. Speaking of almanacs, like I mentioned with the ice shroom, the seed packets really look inconsistent, just like they do when you place some plants on the lawn or in the Zen garden. I just don't like how unaligned they are. It really bothers me and I have no idea why this is the case. Respect needs to be put on the first PVZ game's name. The game's just really bugged. There's issues with selecting the seed packet. Oh my god, don't get me started on how buggy versus mode is. There's just so many bugs and glitches that I feel like the game should have had some sort of extension.
Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. I can't grab it. I can't grab this. Can't grab you. Oh, I grabbed you. Sometimes it works.
It needs extra content too. I know I've said this 5 times, but it needs more skins. It needs more worlds. Maybe not worlds, but it needs just content to play in general that isn't Cloudy Day and R.I.P Mode. I love Cloudy Day, and I do like R.I.P Mode, but there should have been more. I understand Game of the Year already costed $20, but what's stopping me from going to DOC mode, which is free if you have the Game of the Year game, or just playing Game of the Year itself? I don't know. I'm gonna give the game a 5 out of 10. To compare, I gave PVZ 3 Evolved a 6 out of 10, so technically PVZ 3 Evolved is better, but I'm gonna elaborate on why it's a little better than Replanted later. That's really it, guys. If you want, you can play the game yourself. I don't really recommend it right now. I think it feels a little weird. It doesn't have the same charm. Everything just feels off. It doesn't feel right. I don't know how to explain it. I explained it as much to my ability. If you want to play it, play it. And if you guys have any ideas for what they could incorporate in the game to make it better, like an extra mini game, extra content, any idea like that, please drop down below. I just feel like they should have took notes from, like I said again, the DOC mode. I know I glaze this a lot, but this fan game is amazing. Extra worlds, extra plants, extra content in general. This is a great example of what PVZ Replanted should have been. It should have been a game that you could afford, that you could buy with the same charm as the first PVZ game, with extra content that can make you feel like a kid again. Don't get me wrong, I had nostalgia playing this replanted version, but at the same time, I get back to reality once I get bugged or glitched out, because the old game did not have that. I don't know. If I'm being too nitpicky, please tell me in the comments. That's really it for now, guys. If you want more, subscribe. See ya!